Story 1. I use it to help flesh out Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. I tell the AI to ask me 20 questions about my world, a character, a location, etc. Then, I answer the questions and ask the AI to use my answers to give motive for a villain or suggest ideas for a dungeon or quest. Next, I'll describe a location and the key spots like a king's castle, and tell the AI the important areas like the throne room, the kitchens, and the wizard's tower, and ask it to create descriptions of the room or suggest plot hooks. Then I choose what I like, refine them with more questions, or just use that as a basis to add my own stuff. I have a dungeon I'm planning on running with my party soon with traps, an alternate secret route, boss battle, a puzzle, and a few encounters for the party to figure out, as well as some books for them to find with snippets of possibly important lore for their quest. All helped along with AI giving me suggestions. When used properly, AI is a powerful tool. I don't rely on it 100%, but it's been a huge help in allowing me to put my imagination into words for my party to experience. Story 2. I use it for frame analysis and image recognition on my 4K home security cameras. I have Google Coral Accelerator module plus Frigate and Home Assistant set up to send me notifications with attached cropped pictures if it detects a person or package at the door. A cat without a human, since one of my cats figured out how to open the front door. We keep it locked. A dog anywhere on my property, since dog walkers like to treat my yard as a park or bathroom. A car that stops in my driveway for more than 10 seconds without opening the garage door, and much more. I can also have it trigger lights, lock or unlock doors, open or close the garage door, etc., depending on what it sees, but I haven't experimented with much of that yet. Story 3. I use artificial intelligence to write every email because English is my second language. It's like having a personal translator who also makes me sound way more professional than I really am. Story 4. It's the best grammar checker I've ever used. It understands context, has been trained on grammar textbooks, and can tell you if phrasing is simply awkward rather than incorrect. It leaves the built-in grammar checkers in Word and Pages far behind. Story 5. Mostly just entertaining myself. I like asking ChatGPT to generate absurd stories or create Dungeons and Dragons subclasses. I enjoy asking artificial intelligence programs dedicated to art to create ridiculous things like steampunk Spider-Man and other nonsense. All for my own personal entertainment, though not generally shared beyond my small group of friends. ChatGPT is actually surprisingly good at creating at least a good starting point for balanced Dungeons and Dragons subclasses, though I usually have to make adjustments to them due to some odd rules issues. Story 6. I'm learning C++ and the book can sometimes be hard to understand, or sometimes my code doesn't work and I can't figure out why not. I just ask ChatGPT, and it explains it pretty clearly in a way I can understand. Story 7. Nothing. I used to use Copilot for coding but found myself correcting or rewriting the code every single time. Ever since I turned it off, I realized I code way faster and cleaner without it. Story 8. Designing tattoos. Hear me out before you judge. Whereas I used to spend hours on Google image search or Pinterest finding reference images for subject matter for tattoos that I wanted to draw, I now use AI and just tell it exactly what I'm looking for. I still draw the finished product by hand. I even draw everything on paper, but AI gives me composition and color story concepts that I may not have considered. Story 9. I write fictional stories. When I picture a character in my mind, I use an AI image program, for me, Copilot, to enter a prompt describing the character. I can tell you, Copilot has done a great job. Almost every time, what it creates is almost 100% the character I see in my head. Story 10. Automate the boring stuff and entertain my kid. Paste a YouTube video of a DIY project into Gemini and ask it for a complete project plan with a shopping list of what I will need. I rescreened a door this way. Write boilerplate code for me to modify. As a data scientist, this could be anything from writing out regular expressions to something more complex, such as building me a code base for a variational autoencoder that can run on GPUs or CPUs with unit tests. Ask it random questions I have. Write a song about poop to the tune of a famous kid's song. Write a movie script based on my kid's idea for a character that he likes. Then we film. Generate images based off of ideas he has. Story 11. Let's see, so far it has helped with diagnosing my dog. Tedious tasks like creating data dictionary entries. Having hypothetical discussions as to whether a gorilla would be able to win a fight against a jaguar. Help with understanding the scale of certain things. Drafting responses to someone who has borderline personality disorder. Power business intelligence. My wife uses it to develop worksheets based on her lesson plans. And many, many other things. If people don't see a use for artificial intelligence, then they're not using it correctly, in my opinion. And honestly, that's okay. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I just find it to be very interesting and helpful. Story 12. Great question. I consider it a hobby. I find something useful in almost everything I can get my hands on for free. The use cases for artificial intelligence technologies are endless, allowing for users to consume information faster than ever before. Website design and development is really cool. I am not a coder, but I can build you a website in a couple of hours and understand the fundamentals behind it. Generating fun art on Promethean artificial intelligence. Sketch your own designs or upload photos to create environments, landscapes, products, headshots, moving artwork, prompt to PNG, and remix other people's work. It is fun. Check out teresanaiforthat.com or Product Hunt. Happy AING. Story 13. I've been pasting in my journal entries and then asking for advice and general questions about myself. This has been really cool. I cannot afford therapy, so this is close enough. Story 14. As a graphic designer, it has been very useful to complete actual photos that were shot too tightly, so they cut off at awkward places. That is the only thing I find useful about it. Laugh out loud. Story 15. Upscaling. More than a few times, someone wants a digital graphic that is barely enough pixels to fit on a postage stamp to become something that could serve as a high-resolution graphic, such as wallpaper. All image editing tools will resize the graphic to be larger, but it looks pretty bad and is not usable. Artificial intelligence, however, upscales the graphic pretty well and achieves pretty good results, at least for the graphics I tried it on. For my purposes, artificial intelligence upscaling is generally the best way to make painfully small graphics become something usefully large. Story 16. I send a lot of emails company-wide and I need those notifications to catch eyes. I like Bing Image Creator because I can throw silly ideas in and generate a picture. Sometimes I need to tweak the prompt, but I'm usually able to make something to include in the email. Story 17. I use ChatGPT to help make better prompts for Midjourney. I use Midjourney to help articulate my ideas into reality faster and better. Then, I use an AI upscaler that is free, which I found works amazingly. I throw the image into Photoshop, remove the black for transparency, and edit as I need. I see AI as a tool to help the creative process and save me time, to be honest, because otherwise I tinker and waste a lot of time messing around. I add text and other elements myself, so it's not just AI in the end, and have been loving the results with lots of trial and error on Midjourney. It's still a learning process, but I'm enjoying it. Story 18, television and movie trivia, and it can't even do that right. It told me the French communist resistance was singing a German Christmas song at a wedding in occupied France during World War II, illogical, and that it was because the episode of the sitcom in question aired on Christmas Eve. So I did some fact-checking, and the episode actually aired in October. Obviously, it wasn't a Christmas song, let alone a German one. Never trust the machines. Story 19. What do you use AI for? I use AI to help people with a wide range of tasks, including answering questions, providing advice, assisting with creative projects, and solving technical problems. My goal is to make information more accessible and to support you in whatever you are working on. Whether you are coding, writing, learning, or just curious about something, I am here to help make things easier and more efficient for you. Story 20. I will admit that I used ChatGPT to write a single paragraph in a school paper. The paragraph focused on a very generic topic and didn't include any of the niche technical information that my paper was about because AI programs always get technical details wrong. I still had to rewrite it by hand as I added more details, but it was a good blueprint to start from. I also use character AI for role-playing. I mostly play another character from the bots fandom as opposed to playing myself, and it's exclusively safe for work. Story 21. So far, I mainly use it as the new extra feature in every app one have to use every day that takes just a little bit too long to load. So, when I click on the thing I want to do, the buttons suddenly shift, making me click on the wrong thing. Consequently, I have to wait for that to open so I can then close it and then open what I meant to open in the first place. Story 22. I am interested in remote technology jobs. Additionally, I like to question the artificial intelligence about topics I am overly familiar with, and then become frustrated when it provides inaccurate information or omits details. I believe it will assist me in composing cover letters, as I struggle with portraying a personable image, but I excel at acquiring extensive knowledge on niche topics that generally don't garner much interest. Furthermore, I am seizing the opportunity to invest in stocks related to artificial intelligence. Story 23. Literally, anything that will make my life easier. I have been playing Elden Ring, and it has been my guide, so I don't have to search up. I just hit the talk button and ask about some part 1 am confused with or what something means. Story 24. I use it to help explain tabletop role-playing game rules and mechanics for the new games I try. It also helps with complex roles. I then use it to roll up and describe characters and settings. So much faster than doing it manually. And then it can generate an image for me too. Story 25. Helping me to write short Python scripts. I primarily program embedded systems in C, but sometimes it's nice to write little development tool scripts and learn along the way. Story 26. I use artificial intelligence to help answer questions, provide information, and assist with various tasks. Whether you need help with homework, understanding a concept, or just general information, I am here to make things easier for you. Artificial intelligence. Story 27. Spreadsheet formulas, thanks to another post that mentioned doing so. I've had to educate myself at work, and Googling is proving worthless for anything outside the norm or mildly complex. I needed a formula to sum every other row positive numbers only, and another for negative numbers only as well, which was just a sign change. Story 28. As a programmer, the best use I have found is translating emails for less technical people. When I try to explain a complex idea in basic, understandable terms, it can often sound awkward, but Chatbot Generative Pre-trained Transformer is great at that sort of thing. I just cast my eye over the output to confirm it is technically correct, which it usually is. Story 29. 2 things. 1. I am a SQL developer but never learned any programming languages. Thus, I use it to code and troubleshoot JavaScript, and for more complex SQL queries. I know how to do most things but do not have the patience to write iterative term searches and wildcards. I recently developed a deep love for audiobooks, so when I am not entirely sure if I understood a deep concept, I ask if I am on the right track. Although I have an extensive education and did well in school, I was never really the reading type. In my teens, I wrote advanced placement English essays on books I have never read. Every once in a while, when I am not sure if I understood something right, I will ask the AI if this or that was a literary device. Story 30. My employer trained it on our code base and our documentation, and it provides quite accurate explanations and code suggestions. Nothing will ever replace an actual programmer who knows what they are doing, but sometimes if I have a difficult problem, it can solve most of it so I do not have to waste time thinking about the easy stuff. Story 31. I use it to help me write scripts for my job in PowerShell to make my life a little easier. I know very little about PowerShell, so I use it as a litmus test to try things out. Story 32. Marketing and design inspiration. It's very good at coming up with taglines and headlines. It's not perfect, but there's usually a great thought starter in there. It's also very good at recommending movies. Story 33. Learning, coding/refactoring, cover letters, resume correction, creating simple images for projects, writing documentation, winning internet disputes, writing business letters, learning English, psychologist. These are all my cases. Story 34. I use it to help me organize and translate my thoughts into more professional-sounding emails. It has honestly really helped me because sometimes people do not want a blunt response. Story 35. Grammar checking and generating non-technical stuff. You cannot really let artificial intelligence write a research paper yet. You do not have to dive deep into it to find bugs. So, I still had to do my research the traditional way, not that I am complaining though. The same goes for programming. Artificial intelligence is good at writing clear and readable code, but there are usually bugs, and you do not have to dive deep into it to find them. Story 36. I run a design and printing company. I use artificial intelligence for rough drafts basically on the fly, and then I edit it as needed. Sometimes I don't have to edit it at all, and the client is thrilled. It works wonders. Story 37. Writing. I don't have friends who write, so I role play with the computer. If there's an interaction I thought was good, I write that down and edit it later. Story 38. Grammar checking and generating images for my enterprise resource planning characters. Free sites are simple enough that some imperfections and resolution limits are worth it over a month and $200 buying it. Story 39. I use it for running scenarios that are too big for me to work out. Like today, I used it to work out a few different equations for mortgage payments. Stuff I could have worked out if I had the time, but didn't.